Hey everybody, it's Jamie from No Getting Off This Train, and in today's video I am sharing an easy way to make budget meals every week, and to be honest with you, it's one of my favorites. If you have watched my grocery haul videos, you know that once a week I do pancakes for dinner. Now, my secret to saving money throughout the week is by making breakfast for dinner at least once a week. Breakfast can be one of the cheapest meals to make, depending on what you make, of course. Now, like I said, I make pancakes once a week, and pancakes are super cheap. Anything that takes some sort of like a baking mixture, pancakes, waffles, that sort of thing. Super simple to make, and it usually requires ingredients that you may already have at home. Nowadays, with food prices being as high as they are, I'm trying to save money as much as I can in as many different places as I can. So for me, breakfast is the way to go. So pancakes and waffles are one easy and cheap breakfast, but in today's video, I'm going to be making from scratch biscuits and gravy and then some scrambled eggs. Now, as you all probably know, on this channel, I am trying to be health conscious. I try to promote healthy grocery shopping and healthy recipes. So the question is this meal healthy? Now, are biscuits and gravy healthy? That all depends on your life and your situation. I mean, the biscuits, they're made from scratch. You have your flour, you have butter, you have milk. So you've got some protein in there from the milk. You've got carbs from the flour. Now, gravy, again, you've got a lot of milk in it. You have the flour and butter, so you have protein and fat. Now, you have a lot of saturated fat from that. Scrambled eggs definitely have a lot of protein. They have some good fats in them to help keep you full. Now, there are no vegetables in this, but if you want to add a vegetable, seriously, spinach is the easiest way to add vegetables to a breakfast food because you can scramble it with your scrambled eggs. And if you want to add a side of fruit onto this as well, feel free. Apples and bananas tend to be pretty cheap all year round, so that is an option too. So there are plenty of ways that you can add nutrition to this meal. Make sure you stick till the end because I'm going to be giving a price comparison between these homemade items and what you can pay for it at the store. But for now, let's get into the recipes. My recipe for biscuits is really simple and just requires a few ingredients. I have the recipe link for that and the gravy down below. So in a large bowl, I put in 2 cups of flour. I put in all the dry ingredients first. So there was the flour, and then I put in the sugar, the baking powder, and the salt. Now I am using a stand mixer for this, but if you don't have one, that's totally fine. It's just much easier for me. So I use the paddle attachment, and then I turn it on just enough to mix together all the dry ingredients. Now you have to cut in the butter. And what I typically do is take the butter, it needs to be really cold, like maybe even almost frozen, and then you cut it into very tiny pieces, and you just put it into the mixture just like that. I've seen some people freeze the stick of butter and actually use a cheese grater to do that, and that would actually work really well also. This is just how I've been doing it for a long time, and it seems to work. And then after I finished with the butter, I just let it continue for maybe another minute or so on the mixer. Then I started to add in the milk. Now the recipe says 1 cup, and I just add a little bit at a time until the dough starts to come off of the bowl. I usually only end up using like 3/4 of a cup or something like that. As you can see, the dough is all in one big clump. Time to put it on the cutting board. And then I put some flour on the cutting board as well because my mixture is still kind of wet. But at this point, you just knead it on the floured surface until it is pretty easy to work with your hands. Once the dough is ready, you take a rolling pin and roll it out to, I would say maybe either a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of thickness. And my little trick for cutting the biscuits, I have this old tuna can. that we just started using for the biscuit, and it seemed to work pretty well. But if you have like a circular cookie cutter, that would be totally fine too. So you just go around the dough and you keep going. I think I got about 12 out of mine, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, the oven was preheated to 425 degrees. I put them in and set the timer for 10 minutes. Now it's time for the gravy. So in a large pan, I put in half a stick of butter just to let that melt. I started to get the eggs ready as well for scrambled eggs. I was just making enough for a couple of servings at this point. Now the gravy, I'm using the recipe that I use for my sausage gravy, but instead of the sausage, I just put in butter instead to help create the roux. So after the butter melted, I started to add in the flour a little bit at a time, just to try to mix it all together, let it cook for a little bit. I only let it cook for maybe like, I don't know, 30 seconds to 1 minute, not too long. So you can see it was kind of brownish. And then with the milk, you have to add it in a little bit at a time to start creating a roux. And that's going to create the thickness of the gravy. I put in 2 cups of milk for this and just a little bit at a time. Towards the end there, I think I just poured in the last cup of the milk or something. And then from there, it's just letting it come to heat and then letting it simmer for a while until it thickens. I also added some salt and pepper to mine. You can tell when it is pretty much ready when the gravy starts sticking to the whisk. I let it simmer for a little bit longer and then I cooked the scrambled eggs. So everything is ready. I took 2 biscuits, cut them in half, and I put a little bit of gravy on top of each one. Now Allison is not a huge fan of gravy, so I just put butter and jelly on her biscuits and she totally devoured them. Now she said these biscuits taste like McDonald's biscuits, and that is a huge win in my book because she actually ate something homemade. But this was a really, really easy and cheap dinner, and it's just one of those comfort meals. There is nothing like biscuits and gravy. Man, every time I make biscuits and gravy, it reminds me of my childhood. Like, I pretty much grew up on biscuits and gravy, so I always enjoy every time I make it. So let us break down the prices of everything. So the prices I'm about to give are for the individual ingredients and just what I use for the recipe. So for example, I bought an entire gallon of milk, but I only used about 3 or 4 cups in the recipe. So I'm only including the price of what I used, not for the entire item itself. So the flour, I spent about 18 cents on the biscuits and the gravy. Milk, I spent 61 cents for both of the recipes. Butter was $1, and that was probably one of the more expensive parts of these meals. The scrambled eggs, now if I made 8 eggs, that would be $1.66 because eggs right now are super expensive. Baking powder was approximately 5 cents, And then salt and sugar was about 2 cents each, give or take. So altogether, with the ingredients I used, I spent about $3.54. Now this recipe can serve anywhere between 4 and 6 people. So if you're serving 4 people, that's going to be about 88 cents per serving, which is really not bad. Now let's compare that to maybe store-bought biscuits and gravy. Now a can of biscuits that you just open up and put in the oven, that's going to cost you around $1.50 for around the same amount of biscuits. And then one of those pre-made gravy packets is around $1. So you're going to spend around $2.50 for just the biscuits and then the gravy, and then whatever you would pay for the eggs. So honestly, up front, the can of biscuits and the packet of gravy is a little bit cheaper. However, if you were to buy all of the ingredients, so the flour, milk, butter, all of that stuff, you may be spending more up front. However, you will be able to make more out of it. I would say at least 3 or 4 batches, even more with what you buy. So up front, it is cheaper to buy the pre-made stuff, but in the long run, it is cheaper all around just to buy all of the ingredients. So leave me a comment and tell me, do you all make breakfast for dinner pretty regularly, whether it's once a week, once a month, something like that? I'm trying to branch out a little bit from pancakes. Even though pancakes are like one of our family's favorites, I might try to do more things like biscuits and eggs and things like that. So hopefully you've gained a couple of ideas and insights onto how cheap breakfast for dinner can be. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, ring that bell so you'll be notified when more videos like this come out, as well as my other grocery hauls, recipes, and meal planning tips. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you later. Did you know I offer one-on-one nutrition coaching? Whether your goal is to lose weight, eat healthier, or just want to know how to get started, I can help. You can schedule a free weight loss discovery call by using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to chat with you.